Tonight, our coverage as the mayor of Mississauga receives backlash from pro-Israeli groups for drawing parallels between Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar and Nelson Mandela. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Alia Batul. Mississauga Mayor Caroline Parrish is facing severe backlash from pro-Israel groups for comparing slain Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar to Nelson Mandela. Sinwar was killed by Israeli strikes this October. Hamas and all its leaders are designated terrorists by the Canadian government. Parrish's comments come ahead of a planned vigil for Sinwar in the city. Mayor Parrish drew a comparison between Sinwar and Mandela Wednesday at a council meeting. She said Sinwar was fighting Israeli occupation and Mandela was once labeled a terrorist by the U.S. during the apartheid era. She said to those opposing the event, "Your terrorist and somebody else's terrorist may be two different things." The vigil is scheduled to take place at Celebration Square on November 26th. It is being organized by advocacy group Canadian Defenders for Human Rights. Parrish defends the event, citing the Charter of Rights and Freedom. Jewish groups have strongly criticized the mayor's remarks. Deborah Lyons, Canada's special envoy against anti-Semitism, has also voiced strong opposition. Lyons says the vigil is an offense to those advocating for peace. Council member Brad Butt disagrees with Parrish's stance. However, the vigil is set to proceed as planned. One of India's most wanted men has been arrested in Canada in connection with a shooting incident in Ontario. Arshdeep Singh Gill, alias Arsh Dalla, is a known associate of slain Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Nijjar. Reports show Dalla was involved in a shooting in Milton late October. Dalla and another man has been charged with discharging a firearm with intent. Dalla is accused of supporting Khalistan movement, which calls for an independent Sikh state in India. India has declared all separatists terrorists. The Indian government requested for his arrest in March this year. It is not clear if Canada acted on the request. His arrest comes amid rising diplomatic tensions between Canada and India. Canada has accused the Indian government of targeting Sikh separatists on Canadian soil, including Nijjar. Dalla and his co-accused Gurjat Singh are currently awaiting a lengthy bail hearing. A report is calling on Canada to immediately end all government-funded research collaborations with China. It cites national security risks. The report covers areas like digital infrastructure, weapons, and space technology. The report reveals concerns of espionage and foreign interference, particularly following the 2019 security breaches at Canada's National Microbiology Lab. Christian Lupreck, a military expert, stresses that the risks associated with Chinese collaboration in research cannot be mitigated. Some experts worry that severing ties could damage valuable research. Others argue that the safety of Canadians must come first. The deadline for the government to respond to the recommendations is March next year. The Council of American Islamic Relations has welcomed a landmark ruling by the Supreme Court of India condemning the controversial practice of bulldozer justice. The term refers to the demolition of properties of individuals accused of crimes without due legal process. The practice has disproportionately affected the Indian Muslim community. A two-judge panel emphasizes that such actions violate fundamental legal principles. The panel has warned of the dangers of selective reprisals by the state. CAIR's Robert McCaw calls the ruling a recognition that bulldozer justice represents a denial of justice. The ruling comes as CAIR has been advocating for better protection of religious minorities in India. It has been calling on the U.S. State Department to designate India as a country of concern for its treatment of Muslims, Christians, and other minorities. In related news, the Council on American Islamic Relations has labeled President Joe Biden a war criminal for continuing to supply arms to Israel. This comes as the Biden administration has failed to meet a U.S.-mandated deadline to improve humanitarian aid access to Gaza. The deadline was outlined in an October 13th letter to Israel from U.S. officials. The officials demanded a daily supply of 358 trucks into Gaza. They also called for Israel to avoid actions that could hinder United Nations aid efforts. However, despite the U.S. urging Israel to comply, there has been no policy shift. Recently, the State Department has announced that Israel's actions do not violate U.S. law. Aid organizations, however, report worsening conditions in Gaza, particularly in the north. Palestinian Health Ministry reports in the past 24 hours at least 28 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza by Israeli strikes. 120 have been injured. More than 2,000 civilians have died in northern Gaza since Israel's offensive began 39 days ago. Human rights organizations label Israeli actions in northern Gaza as genocide and ethnic cleansing. Ismail al-Thawabta, director of Gaza's media office, says the war has had a disproportionate impact on women, children, and the elderly. Early morning shelling today has killed 6 civilians in Sheikh Radwan neighborhood. A father and a daughter have died in an airstrike on the Al Nasser neighborhood in Rafah. Airstrikes have also targeted a tent sheltering displaced people in Al-Mawasi, killing 5 Palestinians. Another strike in Deir al-Balah resulted in the death of 4, including a woman and child. Eyewitnesses report artillery shelling and smoke bombs targeting areas of Nusayrat refugee camp in central Gaza. Israel's indiscriminate war in Gaza has killed at least 43,764 Palestinians. More than 100,000 have been injured. Israel faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice for its actions in Gaza. Israeli strikes in Beirut suburbs have targeted multiple buildings. Warplanes have hit alleged Hezbollah positions across Lebanon. A drone strike hit the neighborhood of Waberi. A second attack hours later struck buildings in Burj al-Baragheh. In Lebanon, at least 3,386 civilians have been killed by Israeli attacks since October last year. 14,417 have been injured. Netflix is facing backlash after casting Israeli actors in lead roles for its upcoming biblical film, Mary. The film is set to release on December 6th. The film reimagines the story of Mary, the mother of Jesus, peace be upon them. It stars Israeli actress Noah Cohen as Mary, peace be upon her, alongside Israeli actors like Ido Taco as Joseph and Anthony Hopkins as King Herod. Social media users have criticized the casting. They are accusing Netflix of erasing the Palestinian heritage of the characters. Critics argue that casting Israeli actors is insensitive, given the current conflict in Gaza, as Israeli actions have severely impacted Palestinian Christians. Director DJ Caruso defends the choices. He says the cast is crucial for authenticity. The controversy follows Netflix's recent removal of Palestinian films from its platform. The company attributes the decision to the expiration of licensing agreements. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV.